Growing up has never been scarier. Well, if you ignore most of living history. But with the cost of living at an all-time high, most people either have way too many roommates or they still live at home with their parents, something that used to be a mark of shame but now makes up roughly a third of the entire population over 18. I think I speak for the majority of people in their early 20s when I say, I have no idea what I'm doing or where I'm going. But in the midst of this existential uncertainty, I have found one shining beacon to light my way forward. One piece of media that has opened my eyes and taken a little weight off my shoulders. And of course, I'm talking about the 2011 sitcom, New Girl. I'm not kidding, alright? New Girl became my new comfort show in under one season, and by the end, I realized something very important. It's okay to grow up, and it's okay to not have everything figured out right now. The story of New Girl begins at Jessica Day's lowest point. Not only did her boyfriend of 6 years cheat on her, but they live together, so she has to keep living with him until she can find a new place. And on top of that, she's a teacher, which is great. Teachers are good, but they make no money. I mean, this is the nightmare scenario. You spend your entire day around loud and vicious vermin children, sorry, and then you come home to see your cheater ex on the couch that you're sleeping on, watching football like nothing ever happened. To all of you who are forced to continue living with your exes after a breakup, I'm going to send you positive vibes to try to help you escape that situation. And maybe if you're lucky like Jessica Day, you will find yourself on the precipice of some of the greatest years of your life. Though lucky is debatable because she did choose to move into a house with 3 guys that she does not know. That takes luck, reckless abandon, and a teensy bit of delusion. To be fair, those first 2 are pretty easy to muster up, and well, you know, I want to be a full-time YouTuber, so I live off delusion. But we've gotten off topic, okay? My point is, from the beginning, New Girl shows us that the end of something is really just the beginning of something else. And oftentimes, something better. And that idea is the foundation of growing up. While the characters of New Girl are in their late 20s, they still really give off that just moved out youthful energy. And let's face it, they're not the most mature bunch ever. But even that adds to how great the show is and honestly, how motivational it is. Again, these characters are in their late 20s. That is an age that for most of my life, I thought I would already have everything figured out. They definitely do not have everything figured out. Heck, Winston went from professional basketball to professional babysitting. That is not exactly the face of adulthood success, but despite that, he kept on living and having fun, and eventually he found his calling as a cat mom and as a police officer, which could be argued to be an even bigger achievement, but since it's my video, I have complete creative control, so I'm just gonna not say that. Winston's character arc shows us that it's okay to fall down as long as you get back up. And yes, I know it's super cliche, but it's also super true. This show doesn't exactly introduce new concepts, it just packages them very well. For me, a 21-year-old with nothing figured out beyond the fact that I know for certain I'm going to be one of the greatest YouTubers and live streamers to ever grace the internet, Winston's character arc kind of feels like a safety net. Remember when I told you I live off delusion? I was not kidding. And New Girl doesn't stop at Winston. Every single character suffers failures and hardships in their adult life and then overcomes them to keep on living. The most stagnant character is Nick, and he even has some crazy achievements throughout the series. With every episode, this show reminded me that growing up is not having everything figured out. Growing up is learning how to figure things out. Getting older isn't a destination, it's a journey.
I bet you're gonna hate me for this forever.
I wonder how many more cliches I can fit into this video. Speaking of cliches, don't forget to like and subscribe. New Girl is tropey. At the start, Jess is your classic manic pixie dream girl. Nick is the brilliant but lazy underachiever. And Schmidt is the comedic self-described top dog. But that's the thing. At the start, I can already hear the comments saying, "White man discovers character development." But instead of crafting a story around cliche tropes, New Girl bends the tropes to fit the story. Jessica Day starts out as frankly very annoying, but as the story goes on, her character changes and she outgrows the box. That being said, I don't want to lie to you all, I did find Jess fairly annoying later in the show as well, but just less so. But some episodes were pretty annoying. But I still love the show, okay? Schmidt picked up the slack. Beyond Jess, as Nick writes Pepperwood, he learns to be confident and become a reliable person. A character shift that is conceptually impossible in the first season. These characters start out as cliche tropes, and then throughout their late 20s and early 30s, they outgrow them while still staying the same character. It's okay to change as long as you stay you. I should write a book, dude. I'm so knowledgeable. So dumb. I'm telling you, New Girl made me less scared to live my life and less scared to try and fail at things. Just because we feel aimless right now doesn't mean the target isn't there. Somebody quote me on that. Actually, I patent that. Put me in the books, all right? That's such a great line. I just came up with that. Anyways, there are still two characters we have not touched on, and that's on purpose, all right? I wanted to save best for last. Schmidt is the greatest sitcom character ever written. And his romance with Cece is one of the most satisfying love stories I have consumed in a very long time. And I read almost exclusively romance. Their chemistry and humor just gets better with every single one of their interactions. Until it peaks at the point where Cece sneaks in the Schmidt's work on their boniversary and says,
"What if I told you that I have the Star of David hidden somewhere on my body and you have to find it?"
Okay. What did you say? And Cece's arc also has her going back to get her GED and then graduating college. That's inspiring. You don't have to be fresh out of high school to learn, and you're not a failure just because you took a different route than someone else. And I'm not a big college guy, but that's primarily because I'm more of the creative basket of human beings, and I don't really want to spend $200,000 a year and be in debt for the rest of my life just to make like $10. But I'm weird, so don't use me as your role model, okay? Instead, use the fictional cast of this LA sitcom. Back on topic. When the show begins, Schmidt is your typical douchebag womanizer. And by the end, he is the most loyal man you will ever meet. Though he did have one egregious hiccup mid-series. But even that, strangely, came from a place of loyalty, which is, I don't even know, man. All I'll say on that is that, yeah, he should take accountability, but I blame his friends and roommates because they all just ran away and he was in a very tumultuous situation. Tumultuous? Is that how you pronounce that? I am not justifying Schmidt's actions. I'm just mad at Jess and Nick for running away to Mexico. That's so lame. Putting Schmidt's arc aside, he still manages to be the funniest character from episode 1 to episode whatever the last episode number is. He's got the douchebag jar, which is just, I want one of those. And the entire reason Jess went to check out this apartment was because Schmidt listed it with girly adjectives. Oh, and speaking of those adjectives, he is shockingly relatable. Schmidt is the opposite of Nick's toxic masculinity character. The best example of this is the legendary cookie episode, which you've probably seen a clip of even if you haven't seen the show somehow. Schmidt is out and about and he sees a cookie and it makes him think of Nick. And so, being the good friend he is, he just buys the cookie to give to Nick. And then when he gets back to the apartment, Nick cannot rationalize how or why a guy would ever think about another guy. Just think. That's how toxically masculine his brain works. And that obviously hurts Schmidt's feelings because Nick's being weird about it. And so later, Nick buys Schmidt the exact same cookie and then cuts it into the Jewish star. And it leads to this clip.
Hey, Schmidt, just...
This is so terrible.
You gave me a cookie, I gave you a cookie. You gave me a cookie, gave you a cookie. Gave me a cookie, got you a cookie. You gave me cookie, I got you cookie, man.
It will never not be funny. Schmidt has emotions. It's healthy. He breaks stereotypes by having feminine interests and quirks while still being a secure man. He's just like me. I love romance novels and most of my audience is women, and I like Disney and musicals, and that doesn't make me less of a man. It just means I get more enjoyment in my life. It makes me more of an interesting person, and that's Schmidt. He was the kiss the homies goodnight meme years before that meme ever happened. And on that topic, the episode where Jess makes Nick act gay is hilarious. Nick refers to himself as Gay Nick, which is already crazy. But towards the latter end of the episode, Jess's hookup starts not believing that Nick is gay. And just in the nick of time, oh, that's, wait, hold on, that's funny. Schmidt comes home acting like, well, Schmidt, and it's the perfect opportunity for Nick to sell this gay lie because Schmidt is just acting a little bit gay.
Yeah. Give me a kiss. Just give me a kiss. Huh?
I felt like you needed that more than I did.
The episode did this, not me. So if you're gonna be mad at someone, be mad at them. Don't take it out on me. The characters are amazing, and you know, I just finished the show and I'm still laughing at clips every single time they pop up on my feed. No matter how many times you watch it, it's still funny. Okay, that's impressive. I want to leave you with something. Life is always changing. Just because you're older, that doesn't mean you have to be perfect or have everything put together. I don't care if you're 20, 30, 40, or beyond. Van Gogh didn't even start painting until he was 27, okay? And his greatest paintings weren't even made until his mid-30s. And he didn't even see great fame in his lifetime. His work became synonymous with art after he had already died. But he made himself a legend. He took that gamble, and he did something he loved. Alan Rickman didn't make his film debut till he was 42. That's Severus Snape. Claude Monet didn't get any recognition until his 30s, and he didn't even take painting seriously until his 40s. And while we're talking about people in their 40s, Tolkien wrote fiction as a hobby and never published anything into his 40s, okay? Suzanne Collins published Hunger Games when she was 42. Ricky Gervais started in music, moved to radio, and then created The Office in his 40s. The Office! It's never too late. All you need to do is live. And don't be lazy every day. And check out my live streams on Twitch and YouTube at 1 p.m. Pacific every single Saturday. Thanks for watching. Let me know what your favorite New Girl scene was in the comments. And until next time, deuces.